especially thank you for Starman. Putting Starman and Roadster into space was the most life-changing thing I've ever seen. Also, I wanted to give you this, and thank you for allowing this to happen. This is the Starman Begins episode we just made.
Thanks.
Just a gift.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for, I mean, like, the course we're on, that, I was a space geek as a kid, and I didn't believe anything was going to happen, because in the 90s, nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And I didn't even pursue an engineering career, because there was nothing to do in space. But when I saw that, I was like, I knew that this was real, and pretty much changed everything I was doing to now I make this.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
This was great. Yeah, and you know how it came to be that a Roadster was in the Falcon Heavy?
I've heard bits of internal lore, but never from you, so I would love to hear this.
Well, normally when there's a new rocket that's launched, there's something very boring, like a chunk of concrete or something is just as, because you don't going to risk an expensive satellite on the first launch of a new rocket. So but I was like, hey guys, we can't put a chunk of concrete, that's going to be super boring. That's what Boeing would do. Literally, they did do it, in fact. Like, they literally, I think it was a chunk of concrete or something that they put on their first launch, of the Delta IV or something. So I'm like, no, we got to spice it up. So I was talking to my friend, Jonah Nolan, who's like, he wrote like the really good Batman movies and Westworld and stuff, like Chris Nolan's brother, so.
Oh, wow.
And I was in his kitchen, and he suggested that we should put a Tesla in, and I was like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. And so I was like, well, I've got one in my garage, we could use that one. So, so it's not serial number 1 or anything, it's a later, like 1500 serial number or something like that. And so literally the car that I was driving around LA is now in orbit around Earth and Mars.
You can track it.
Yeah. But it was basically like, let's have something that looks cool instead of boring concrete, and I really thought there was like quite a good chance the rocket would fail. We've had a number of rocket failures in the past, so there's so much that can go wrong with a Falcon Heavy that's kind of like surprising that it all worked. Like, it was like, holy crow, I can't believe it all worked. This is insane. That was my reaction with the Falcon Heavy launch. And then the Starman was like, well, we've got a car, got to put someone in the car, otherwise, like, who's driving it, And so that's where we put the Starman in the car.
And then there's the tiny Starman in the car.
And that was a friend of mine, Nora, who was like, yo, we should put like a small, I should put like the Matchbox Tesla on the, on the dashboard with a tiny Starman in it. I was like, okay, we'll do it. So then, like, I don't know what the aliens are going to think when they discover it. Like clearly they worship this thing, and then they made a small version of it because they worship it so much. It's like the stuff like that we just discover of ancient civilizations. Probably the answer might be like much more like, less serious than we think it. Like, oh, this is like we just think everything's a temple that they worshipped, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just like some thing that they made.
Memes all the way down.
Exactly, totally.
I also have one selfish question. Car sharing. Obviously, we're working towards full autonomy. That's the main goal, but there seems to be a 0.5 step. And I'm actually a car sharer. I have 8 Teslas and 1 Rivian sharing on Turo. And I just feel like there's so many ways that, like, the Model Y specifically is optimized, and Cybertruck in the future will be even more optimized for car sharing. Is there someone working on that at Tesla?
Our issues for the last few years have been not car sharing. Like, I mean, I guess like a rental car, is kind of a car sharing situation.
Sure, Hertz being
a
big player now.
Yeah, we've just been trying to keep the factories operating. The last couple of years has been a very difficult thing, and like supply chain interruptions have been severe, like extremely severe. So it has required all of our attention just to keep the factories going, not to think of like. At the end of it, like the super hard part for a car company is like, how do you get revenue above cost so you don't go bankrupt? Yeah. So it's not really like as long as our demand is enough to absorb the production, and we have production enough to cover our fixed expenses, then we're in an okay spot.
Sure. But I'm thinking about like downtime. If these cars are traveling 400,000 miles, sitting in someone's driveway, they're not going to collect 400,000 miles before the paint's kind of having issues. I imagine that increasing the utilization of the existing fleet obviously full self-driving does that, but up until then, if we have car sharing installed to increase utilization, increase the number of miles on these vehicles, it's a good thing for the world.
I said that that's a high class problem that you know, the thing that, like, car companies, you should think of car companies as, like, at any given point they desperately want to go bankrupt. Okay, that a car company is desperately trying to go bankrupt at any given point in time. In order to have that not be the case, you have to have factories have to be active. Otherwise, you have parts piling up in warehouses all around the world, and you can't ship but if you're missing any parts, you can't finish the car and ship it. So the past 2 years have been an absolute nightmare of supply chain interruptions, one thing after another, and we're not out of it yet. That's overwhelmingly our concern, is how do we keep the factories operating so we can pay people and not go bankrupt. And then everything else is, like, nice to have, but even recently, like the COVID shutdowns in China were very, very difficult.
You guys actually do so well that we all think of you as a tech company first, which has, like, like Apple, right? They make hardware, but they spend way more money on software, which I'd even say I've gotten the perception sometimes that it's like, oh yeah, they've got this just huge stack of bandwidth, but, like, you're right, the amount of money and hardware moving through this place is...
Like, this factory is losing insane money right now because we can't make it, because we like, we should be outputting a lot more cars from this factory versus a very puny amount of cars. But we had challenges with the 4680 ramp and with the structural pack ramp, and then ironically the tooling, because we were able to do 2170 cells, but the tooling necessary for making 2170 variant cars was stuck in China. So we had this Shanghai factory in op. We got the tooling to enable this factory stuck in port in China with no one to actually move it, which basically then caused this factory's production ramp to be very tiny. Now this is all going to get fixed real fast, but it requires a lot of attention. And it will take, like I said, it'll take more effort to get this factory to high volume production than it took to build it in the first place. And the same is true of Berlin. Berlin's in a slightly better position because Berlin started off with the 2170 style and did not have the 4680 and structural pack risk. But both Berlin and Austin factories are gigantic money furnaces right now. Okay, there should be like a giant roaring sound, which is the sound of money on fire. Okay, that's what
dumpster fire, right? In the back.
Yes, bigger than a dumpster. Dumpster's too small. Gigafactory level, like Berlin and Austin are losing billions of dollars right now because there's a ton of expense and hardly any output. So getting Berlin and Austin functional and getting Shanghai back in the saddle fully are overwhelmingly our concerns. Everything else is a very small thing, basically.
Understanding that this is not an immediate concern, but does a Plaid Model 3 make sense to you in your mind?
No.
Could the weight even handle that power strain? Like its potential?
We're trying to reduce complexity.
Not increase it. Got it.
Understood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're our own worst enemy in adding complexity. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the Model S and X we're doing them not because they are huge money owners, but really for sentimental reasons. They're at full output, we're talking about 100,000 cars a year for S and X. But 3 and Y will do, I don't know, 2 million plus. So it's like 10x the, more or more, frankly. I think 3 and Y could probably do 3 or 4 million, and S and X will top out at 100,000. Just because the affordability drops off exponentially with price. So as price rises, you basically, the number of people that can afford an S or an X, it doesn't drop by a little, it drops by an order of magnitude. So like a doubling of the price will drop the affordability by a factor of 10. As a rough rule of thumb.
Is there any additional thing that we can continue to do? I mean, we tried our best with the solar taxing. I mean, it's probably hard, even like I'm like asking you, like, how can we help? It's kind of a weird, it feels like a weird question, but.
Well, I mean, the public support is certainly appreciated. And shooting down FUD is always very helpful. And there's an argument for maybe we should advertise because the sort of traditional media will not run negative pieces about automotive because automotive is like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, advertisers in their paper. So they like
the ads could literally be nothing, but it'd be better because the articles therefore would also not be bad.
Yes, like this is so Tesla's like basically free game, whereas it's safe to say that if they run some negative piece about General Motors right next to a General Motors ad, General Motors marketing exec is going to call them up and say, why did you do that?
Do you want me to pull it now?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, your budget next year, we'll be spending nothing with your publication next year. Yeah, exactly. That is, and they don't have to do that because they know. So there's a tacit understanding that you don't run hit pieces on your major advertisers.
Yeah.
It's bad for business.
Yeah. Right. And then people's like, oh, don't worry, there's a triangle wall between the business and the editorial. I'm like, yeah, but they also know who's paying their salary. Okay. They don't need they're not idiots.
Same way there's a firewall between me and my boss. Bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. They just know don't go there. That's what they know. But they can trash Tesla because Tesla doesn't advertise. So that's the issue. So maybe we should advertise and at least I don't know. It's sort of doesn't feel right, but that is something we could do. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, though, if you look at if you ignore sort of the Sturm und Drang and say just like, okay, well, is it actually causing us to sell fewer cars? It doesn't seem to be. So then why should we care?
Demand is not an issue.
So they can actually. Frankly, a bunch of the pieces trashing Tesla, as especially say 2017 through 2019, the press was just a non-stop hate stream. It was like. Hate, like Tesla's a fraud, Tesla's a failure, Tesla's a fraudulent failure. Tesla, they were like, thumbing through the thesaurus for like bad words to use. It was like insane. You just like click on like the phone, like the stock app ticker, and I remember like for 3 years straight, it would just be like headlines just trashing Tesla, just over and over and over again. And our sales went up. So I'm like, okay, yeah. So I'm like, I guess keep trashing us, because at the end of the day, people were like, oh yeah, I just kept reading about Tesla. I don't know why, but I just kept reading about it. I can't remember what the article was about, but I know I read about Tesla 17 times.
And GM's none.
What is it? Bad press is good press, or whatever.
Yeah, there's like all press is good press. There's some truth to that,
Yeah.
So. Because generally you say of the articles that you read about in a newspaper like last week, how much content can you remember about those articles?
Really, it's
just the headline.
It's sentiment.
Yeah, the headline vaguely.
People aren't reading the articles.
Yeah. Yes.
And even if they are,
I know there was a big movement on Twitter please read the article before you retweet it or forward it.
Retweet and try to make you confirm. Yeah.
And then they read the headline.
Everyone's just forward retweeting and forwarding based on the friggin' headline, even though the content says the exact opposite of what the headline is. And the headline chosen by the editor and the so the writer is like, I didn't even pick the headline. I literally said the total opposite of what the headline was, and people don't even know because they just forwarded the headline.
Yep.
Actually, that's one of the things that should happen in Twitter is every time you click on a news article, you hit a paywall. and it's like
Now you do, yeah.
Yeah, it's super annoying.
Yeah.
And you can't even read.
to read the article.
Yeah, exactly. So you can just see the headline, and you literally can't read the damn article.
You might as well just
Yeah. So
There
it's
should be like a
like
little sign there that says "Can't read article."
yeah, and it's like I don't want to get a subscription to Philadelphia Inquirer, but I'm sure they have every now and again a good article that I'd like to read. But I don't want like 12,000 subscriptions, and also they don't even make it easy to get a subscription. It's like this 18-page process where you like tell us everything about your entire life is what's required to subscribe to XYZ newspaper in some whatever. Like, man, who's going to do that? So.
imagine what it would do. For
And then I keep losing my password for the ones that
and then it
I know.
opens like Twitter's emulated browser, so
Yes.
it doesn't even log in anyway.
Yes, exactly. It's like I have a subscription to the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, but like I'll like open it, I click on the Twitter link, and I'm like, it's saying that I'm not a subscriber.
Yeah.
So then I have to like go to the web server, have it redirect to the app on my phone. And it's this cockamamie nonsense.
This feels like a problem for Apple, though.
I was literally just about to say.
Or it should be.
I wonder.
It's just annoying.
It's
I was just trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and it's like paywall, and everything's a fucking paywall, and then and you can literally only
It's
read
the
the headline.
simulation.
Yeah, it's just like it's annoying, and then even when you have the subscription, it doesn't figure it out.
The world we built.
And I mean,
Yeah,
if Twitter,
it's just totally messed.
if Twitter got in the middle and algorithmically started deprioritizing content that did that, eventually, let's say what he was saying about Apple, Twitter could ultimately end up like Apple, which is like, you want your content that's subscribed to be that way? Great. Users can subscribe to Twitter, to whatever news is, and when
Yeah.
they click, it's good.
Yes.
Twitter can, I mean, honestly, it would make a better user experience if
Yeah.
Twitter did get in the middle of that. I might not pay,
I think
might
that's-
pay in $1 a month to The Atlantic as part of a $5 a month Twitter plan I pay.
Yeah,
that
totally.
gets me all the subscribed news. But right
Exactly.
now, clicking a link and going to it, I just lose my fucking mind. I'm
Yes,
like, I'm
totally.
going to Reddit
It's
to go
annoying.
find the fucking link where somebody like broke it all
Yes,
down.
Totally.
It'd be cool to see if that ever happened one day.
No, I think that's the thing that should
I
happen.
know, it's like the irony of that.
like,
Yeah, I know.
there's definitely a loss of value here that is simply missing, where it's like I understand that all these publications want to maximize their subscribers and kind of like own their customer and stuff, but there's a huge number of people who are never going to subscribe to that publication.
No.
Like, let's say, not to pick on the Philadelphia Inquirer, but let's say you don't live in Philadelphia. So most of the time, you don't want to read the articles. But every now and again, they've got like some reporter on the scene at some news event, and they're actually the source article, and everyone else is just copying them and printing their stuff. And so you want to like read the Philadelphia Inquirer article. But you're not. There's no chance you would become a subscriber. So they're not losing a subscriber, but they are annoying everyone who's not going to be a subscriber. So there's got to be some way to solve that.
One sort of quarter.
Yeah, exactly. It's
plug
like
into Twitter,
I'll
you put a
pay
couple Doge.
10 cents for this article or
Ooh,
something.
I
Exactly.
like that. Pay
One
for
Dogecoin for
Doge,
this article.
Yeah.
It should be like I'll pay 10 cents for this article. Whatever, 15 cents, 20 cents. It's like fine. And that should work.
Music
Like,
artists
that's how
are
it should work.
Music artists get paid like that already. It's per listen, basically.
Yeah.
Scaled out
Yep.
over a lot of dimensions.
Exactly.
News
So-
is going to have to go that way.
Micropayments.
There's just like this exactly, and there's no losers here. Like, in fact, the media company will be a winner because they will get incremental revenue over and above those who would never subscribe to the publication.
That's right.
And then we can all read news and not have to be stuck behind paywalls. What a madhouse! I mean, we don't even have an app that's as good as WeChat in China. And like in China, you can like live on WeChat basically.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, everyone's like, like you live on WeChat, you do payments, you do everything. It's like, it's great. Basically, WeChat's kick ass, and we don't have anything like WeChat outside of China. So I was like, my idea would be like, how about if we just copy WeChat? Hey, copy them.
Buys Twitter, copies WeChat.
Yeah, pretty
Profit.
much. Yes.
Better user experience.
Well, before you have to go, we should probably get a selfie or a picture
Sure.
with you, if you don't
Is it
mind.
okay? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
What are you doing these days?
What am I doing these
Yeah.
days? YouTube, and I review electric cars for a living. I rent
Okay.
out those cars on Turo, car
Okay.
sharing, and I'm considering what it would look like to build an app that makes that experience better. Because Turo is good, but it is not specialized, and so
No, there's so many things it could do better for the Tesla experience.
Yeah.
If you build it, I'll use it.
Man, autonomy is just such a monumental breakthrough that it's just, it's just car sharing will just not matter really.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But the 0.5 step of like, what do other learnings maybe do you have there as far as maintaining cars? Who's responsible? Those kinds of things. That's where I think it has.
I think there's. I mean, there will need to be like sort of a shepherd of cars.
Exactly. That's what I'm
essentially.
trying to be at this point.
Car shepherd.
Even though you told people years ago not to try that.
No, I mean,
So this is
no,
a
I think
bad idea
there's-
until we're there.
It's not like this. Like, cars still need to be like maintained. Like, if it's like, you know, you got to clean the car. You got to, you know, if it gets scuffed or damaged, it's got to be. It's like tending a flock of cars.
I know.
Basically.
Yeah.
I know very personally.
Yeah, exactly. So they'll still. It's like, I mean, I think it will effectively, like, for people that are currently like Uber or Lyft drivers, it'll be like, okay, like instead of you driving yourself, you manage, I don't know, 50 cars or something like that, and you tend to your flock.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
basically.
Ryan has 52 Cybertrucks on order.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
We need-
fleet in the Bay Area.
We need to get on that. I mean, the design at least finally is locked, and we're
For sure locked.
yeah, it's locked. For sure locked.
Pencils down.
Yeah, seriously, we got too carried away with the. Anyway, that
Features.
it'll-
Features.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, yeah.
Just kept changing.
Yeah. I mean, last year the chip shortage was so bad that even if we had, it wouldn't matter. Like you're just robbing one pocket to pay the other pocket. Like, so you could, and we even couldn't make the stationary storage stuff because stationary storage batteries they used chips too.
Yep.
So then we had to like basically starve the Powerwall line to make cars, and even then couldn't make all the cars we wanted to make. So, and we go straight from that into China COVID shutdown, which was really like not just affecting Shanghai production, but also like there's still some parts that are made for cars made in California that are with the parts made in China, and it was, and we had tooling stuck in China as well. So I think, I'm not sure everyone knows how serious the COVID shutdowns were in China up there, and it's not done yet, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not like major green light yet. It's still bumpy.
Yeah, still have to ramp up.
If you were to guesstimate, when would the Cybertruck hit production?
I think middle of next year,
Okay.
roughly 12 months-ish.
Okay.
I'm
excited.
How excited we are for it, man.
I'm so excited.
I've got a
Me too.
Starlink
I mean,
already. It's gonna go out these mountaintops.
I mean, that's
with
what I'll
me.
be driving when it's when it comes out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I stopped having kids at 4 because I can't grow. I can't have a
You don't have a
Cybertruck if
Cybertruck.
I'm past that. So I stopped at 4.
Smart man.
I'm done. 6 seats.
You outdid your contribution to society.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, good for you. It's like, I mean, man, so many of the friends I know have like 0 or 1 kid.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always banging the baby drum. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, man, civilization's gonna, collapse. And
No big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, where do you think people come from? Like, some magical fucking people factory?
The stork. The stork.
The stork, the baby store. I mean, like,
Jeez.
they got to come from somewhere, and they take ages to grow. So unless like the thing that tends to happen is like once the birth rate starts going down, it seems to accelerate in a downward trajectory. Like Japan is a leading indicator here. It's insane.
They're about to collapse.
No, it's
Population
like
collapse.
nutty. They lost 600,000 people last year. That negative 600,000 last year.
Wow.
And Japan is like pretty close to being their life expectancy is like 85. So, like that's the only thing. That was what was keeping the population plummeting before. But now, despite having like the world's longest lifespan, they're still losing population.
Oh, wow.
Which is saying something.
Yeah, it is saying something.
So,
It seems to me the rate of that decline is such one that's going to be not really able to be turned around. We kind of got a plan for what we do in spite of it happening. Yeah, like
well, if that trend continues, Japan's just going to flat out disappear, as will most countries in the world. So it's not like I'm just saying if that trend continues, hopefully it doesn't. But if it does, this is going to be. I don't know what China's going to do. Like China's going to have like a period of time of great prosperity of like the next 10 years, and then but China's at like roughly half replacement rate. Maybe.
oh whoa.
Because of the one-child policy. Right.
They got rid of the one-child policy several years ago.
Yeah.
Then made it a two-child policy. Now it's a three-child policy.
Okay.
Birth rate unchanged.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's so ingrained in them for who knows how many
Oh.
decades.
Economic
Interesting.
conditions matter
Yeah.
too.
Oh.
And Japan never had a one-child policy, and they still went that path.
Yep.
So, it's just you should look at the trends. It's like
Yeah.
basically with education and urbanization,
Yeah, I
birth
saw
rate
that.
plummets.
Yeah.
And there's people like, oh, people can just afford it. Nope, actually, the places that have the best social safety nets have the lowest birth rate.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's not the reason.
Yeah. So the inverse is true, right? The poorer you are, the more kids you have.
Yes.
Yeah. And then mostly, I think there's a social economic study that says the reason why is because parents need comfort.
I mean, you could say like one could like say figure out whatever causes. It's hard to say what the cause would be, but the correlation cannot be argued with.
Yeah.
The more religious, the less educated, and the poorer, the higher the birth rate.
Yeah.
So like if like there's low religious, low on the religion, high on education, and high on income, that has the lowest birth rate by far.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think if we parse the data, there's probably an argument to be said how we got to the size. Religious had a large impact on getting to the size of population we did, because if you study religion, you know, like most of them preach to be fruitful and
Moses,
multiply,
go
to grow
forth.
numbers.
Yeah.
The Mormons, the Catholics.
Go forth and multiply.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the biggest, you know,
Go
I mean,
forth and
Catholics are a
multiply.
billion people. They made a lot of people. That's how you build a
Or
what I'm
fuck
doing.
off. I don't know.
Is it? I like the
But
fuck
we're
off
interpreting
option.
that as go forth and multiply. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully things turn around. But the current trend is not good from a birth rate standpoint. I'm trying to set a good example. You know?
Another reason why we need another civilization on another planet.
Yeah. The number of humans is not trending well. I think a lot of people are under the impression that the current number of humans is unsustainable on the planet, and this is totally untrue.
Yeah.
We could double the number of humans and be okay, and still keep the rainforests.
People forget we're animals. If we actually couldn't sustain it, we would just die off.
Yeah, the population density is actually very low, and most parts of the world have no people in them. So if you fly over the country, from LA to New York or something, and you look down and say what percentage of the time, if you dropped a bowling ball, would you hit someone?
Very low.
Round down to zero.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Most
You can just look out the window
a few cities.
and say,
Yeah.
And not just a
There's a
bowling ball,
five-
you could do it with most objects, and you still hit them.
yeah, you could
Oh,
do something bigger than a bowling ball.
I feel like we should test this.
Yeah, if you have
SpaceX has the tools.
if you have a cannonball and your goal is to hit a person or die, and you're gonna die because you're not gonna succeed in hitting a person. Even in LA, you think LA's got a lot of people, but you look at the actual. If you just look to say what cross sectional area is human, like the cross section you take several blocks in LA, and make the houses and cars translucent. And look at looking at from above, what percentage of the cross section of the area is humans? It's almost nothing. It's below 1% in LA.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that giant ball of flesh they did that if you combined every human into it? Is that in New York City? You've seen it, right? The big ball of goo of all of humans pushed
Yes.
into one thing. It would sit in New York's. What's the big park in New York?
Central Park?
It would sit in Central
That's
Park.
it?
That's
it's
it?
And it's a little bit taller
Yeah.
than the tallest skyscraper. It's not very big at all. If
You
took
just
every
have
human, just smash
like a
it.
cuboid of humans.
Cuboid of human.
Cuboid
It's
of
not
humans.
much.
The volume.
That's it.
Oh God, that's wrong. What's it? Just a giant meatball.
It's like meatball.
It's all of you guys.
We're a giant.
Everyone. It's all of us.
We're just a meatball and
I know. It's,
You
Yeah.
have to send that to Elon to post the meme,
There
dude.
we go. There we go.
actually on
A screenshot without the.
on a single floor, you could fit all humans in New York City without on one floor without even having.
What do you mean on one floor?
I mean, not.
Oh, surface area.
Yeah.
How thick would that human pi b.
No, it's just one human total. I'm gonna say there's no humans. It's no without stacking.
Without stacking, it's just side by side. You mean?
Yeah, just say like, what's the cross-sectional area of a human?
Yeah.
Say, okay, there's 8 billion of those.
Yeah.
What's the area of New York City? Oh, it's less than. The
You can
humans
fit
are
all
less
the
than.
humans
You can
standing.
fit all the humans in New York City.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love the phrase cross-sectional area of a human. I just think there's something
Yeah, from
wrong
space.
about that.
It's just we're targeting, and the cross section is low, so we're gonna have to adjust course in the missile
Yep.
because of that low cross section of humanity.
Yep.
That's basically what it comes down to.
Yep.
So yeah, anyway, yeah, it's like if people like live in some bustling city, they think humans must be everywhere, but actually, there are very few cities. Like no place in America has the density of Manhattan, and then even if you've got like a sort of what seems like a dense city like LA, the actual cross-sectional area that's human is small, like less than 1% of the area is human. So that means that if you drop a cannonball, that doesn't bounce too much, the probability of hitting a human is extremely low.
Wow. That's interesting.
We've had pieces from rockets in multiple nations re-enter the tanks and crash uncontrolled and not hit anybody many times.
When we had the space shuttle tragedy, like on entry, it rained debris across the entire United States, and I don't think there were any injuries at all.
Yeah.
Like the entire,
Yeah.
a lot of debris, across and nothing.
And everyone was scared. Oh my god, it almost hit me.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
They weren't bowling
Yeah.
balls.
like they recovered most of the material from the shuttle,
Wow.
but and 0 people were hit, I believe.
And here's an interesting part of that is it was going not vertical. It was
Yeah.
going around the Earth, which increases the probability.
No, it's coming in from orbital, so it's going parallel, more or less parallel to the Earth's surface,
And then
and start breaking up, I believe, over the U.S.
Like a crop duster.
or at least certainly none of the parts fell in the ocean. It all fell on the land, I believe. That's it, because it's when you're going orbital, you're going parallel to the Earth's surface. You know, roughly 25 times the speed of sound. So the shell's decelerating and breaking apart and the debris is raining down on the U.S. and no people were hit. So there are actually very few humans on Earth.
I have one FSD related question. Would it be possible for us to get access to some folks to give narrative feedback from the experience we're having? Because some of us drive a shit ton of miles cross country, some of us drove out to Texas and back. And there's things that we saw that there's no button or email I could possibly send to say, hey, here's the issues we're seeing, here's how they're breaking down, and more importantly, here's how they're breaking down across contexts, right? Like if there was any way to, if it would be helpful. If it's not, then no worries. But if there's a way to give that narrative feedback to somebody, I think it might help.
I mean, our goal right now is to get to 0 interventions in point-to-point drives in cities.
Yeah.
So the polish is less important than solving for 0 intervention point-to-point drives in cities. The sheer amount of work required to do this boggles the mind.
Yeah.
And to the best of my knowledge, I asked the team, like, do we know of anyone who is even trying to follow in our footsteps? We don't know of anyone. Maybe there is someone, but I've seen a lot of tough technology problems, and solving real-world AI such that a car can drive itself is one of the hardest problems I've ever seen. And it is way harder than I originally thought, by far. So
what would you say to the people that have said for several years, you've said it'll be this year, it'll be next year? What would you say to those people?
it'll be this year.
Perfect.
We got it.
Put that out.
That'll be a great quote for 6 months.
Yeah, no, I think it's still tracking for this year.
But as far as I'm going more for like the.
Why was I
you,
overly optimistic in the past? I did not understand the scope of the problem.
And you feel you do now?
Yeah. I mean it's very easy to get close to it working, and where it feels like it's just, all right there, just a little further, and it's like the donkey with the carrot over your head. And it's like, that's right. Just keep, just pull the cart a bit further and faster. If you pull the cart faster, maybe that carrot's going to come closer. So and frankly, having radar and ultrasonics was a mistake, radar especially, because radar it allows you to get close to solving it and solve it most of the time, except when you can't lock the radar and the visual neural net. Like radar and vision disagree which one is right. And so you basically have to get rid of the radar. And once we got rid of the radar, which by the way was initially strongly opposed by the Autopilot team, and now nobody wants the radar back. Is that right? Yeah. I had to lay down the law and say, like, that radar's coming out, man.
Yeah.
You can't. That radar is a crutch, and if you're carrying that crutch, you can't run. So, radar would the signal radar was contributing more noise than signal at the end of the day. So it's not that it wasn't contributing signal, but it was more noise than signal, and so that's it had to be removed. And once radar was removed, then it became clear that actually our neural nets are much worse than we think they are. So they were being helped by radar too much. So now just having to use vision. You can't hide behind anything. The vision has to work. The neural net vision has to work. And then there was quite a profound change to go from bag of points neural net to having a neural net interpret that bag of points to figure out what a lane center is. Because previously we were doing that all in C. So, I mean, the neural net architecture is insanely complicated at this point. It's a lot of layers, and then it'll turn out, oh, actually we need to delete this layer, put this layer on, and we've re-architected the neural net so many times.
Here's a question I've kind of had from the outside. It's like, it seems like Tesla has like one general autopilot team. Why not have two compete against each other? You did it with Boca Chica and Florida. Why not have one that still has radar and all the old data points and a separate team and make them compete?
I think the team does not lack for motivation level or work ethic. They work super hard, and the Tesla Autopilot sort of software AI team is like the best software team I've ever worked with. I'm a harsh judge of technical skill, and they are outstanding. It took a while for us to get there. We had a lot of false starts with the Autopilot team. And there's in Silicon Valley, there's 12 people who say they're responsible for Autopilot, but they're not.
Some generally good people on that team too. I still hang out with some of them, golf with some of them, ski with some of them. Good people. Not often. They don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, don't worry about vacation. He's like,
Don't mention any names.
The talent level of the Autopilot team is I mean, they're just extremely good.
Yeah.
So, it's at the end of the day, the streets were designed for eyes and biological neural nets. That's what the entire road system was designed for. So therefore, it makes perfect sense, frankly, that cameras and digital neural nets are required to solve self-driving. You basically have to repeat what the humans do, but in silicon. And nothing else will actually solve it. So, I mean, Tesla's actually, going to be in a situation where Tesla has a self-driving solution and no one else is even close, not even for 5 years.
Licensing?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. We're not going to stop people from doing it. But they will, it will need to slap them in the face, like, baff. Not like, hey, we think, it has to be taking sales away from them.
Oh, it'll take sales away from Uber, it'll take sales away from everything.
So
it'll be very clear
and
once it's actually delivered, it'll be very clear that this is the way. Everyone will know in that moment, within a month, this is the way, if they don't already know.
I mean, anyone who has that you guys have the beta, you've seen the trajectory of improvement.
Yeah.
It's very clearly going to achieve full self-driving.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just a question of there's some debate about when.
When, yeah.
But if you say like, what is the rate of improvement per unit time?
Yeah.
You can say this is clearly going to get to a point where it's much safer than human.
Yeah.
The
And
only
it's not
pushback
far.
is how do those, basically there is that point when you cross, and it feels as if we are kind of slowing the progression, and I want to know that it crosses. Oh, okay.
So the thing that's like sort of hard to appreciate from sort of outside the company is that we'll re-architect the neural net like for the 1,000th time, I mean, man, that's like the things that I like that take up the most amount of brain space for me are working on self-driving and getting Starship to orbit. Those are the two things that take up like, I don't know, 70% of my brain space, like something like that. Those two things, and then there's other things that just don't require as much sort of brain CPU cycles, but like a lot of chores basically. If I don't do my chores, then shit hits the fan basically. I hate doing chores, so. Anyway, just like basically Autopilot is absorbing a massive amount of my brain cycles. That and getting Starship to orbit are two things that are overwhelmingly that a supermajority of brain cycles. So the reason that it like the say 12.1 or whatever didn't seem like it was that great was because we refactored so many of the neural nets. That like to the outside it seems like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and so it feels like the improvement is flat. But actually, a whole shit ton of like we just re-architected the neural net. So so we went from having like an A in a C architecture to having a C in an A architecture. But now you can improve.
More room to grow.
Yeah,
Got it.
Exactly. So, there's still. We still don't have a unified vector space where all of the neural nets pour their output into a single agreed upon vector space for both fixed and moving objects. So
That's huge.
yes,
do that?
that's quite important because like if they disagree, like if the moving objects neural net, like currently they're really still fairly separate, the moving objects network and the static objects network. If they disagree on the position of a car, then like you could say, well, this car is in a non-drive space position because of a disagreement between the neural nets, and then if they're not running at the same frame rate, you can get a time error as well. And if cars are, moving at, I don't know, 30 meters per second or something, then and you have like a sort of 33, 34 millisecond error, okay, like that car's now moved a lot, so it's moved a meter, so and a meter is a lot, like if we're not colliding with something.
Speed, it's a ton.
Yeah, it can be like, is this car, like you're driving along, and let's say there's cars going in on opposite directions. If that car coming towards you is offset by a meter, that could be the difference between colliding or not. So and so there could even be like a slight time lag error, between one neural net and the next, and you can have an issue. So it's now and the limit, as these neural nets get very good, they will be much better than a human. So it'll be able to drive better than James Bond could possibly drive. Fortunately, the threshold for succeeding is just being better than a human, and humans have really a lot of latency in jitter. so this it's like not actually all that high of a bar when you realize it. It's sort of like you think of like elevator operators back in the day, and yeah, you can be an expert elevator operator, but you got to flip that relay and get the elevator and the floor to line up exactly. It's like you're not going to succeed nearly as much as the computer. So now anymore, if you did have an elevator operator with a big relay switch, you'd think that's pretty backwards, and you'd really prefer to have a button. That's how it will be with Autopilot.
That's a good analogy.
Yes, like normal human drivers will be like an elevator operator.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
And the precision of Autopilot will be insane.
After hitting the no interventions on city streets, what's the next benchmark that comes after that? And I'm assuming it's on some number of miles, some number of drives happening, because like if we're saying true zero, then you've reached autonomy, right? Like true zero,
No,
absolute
it's
zero.
it's got to be extremely rare to have an intervention. I mean, driving from my friend's house to Gigafactory today, I had no interventions, and actually Austin has, either in city streets or on the highway. Only one thing I say is like the speed that the car decides on was wrong, so I had to like adjust speed several times.
Which, as I understand from feedback from the Autopilot team, that is considered an intervention, right? Have you hit the pedal or
No.
accelerator? No, it's not.
No,
Okay.
I'm talking about accelerator. I'm
Oh,
talking about
got
max
it.
speed.
Okay, cool. Gotcha. Go on.
The car's was generally going too slow.
Gotcha.
It's there's definitely going to be like a collision with reality here because just like the rolling stop in California, everyone does a rolling stop. Like who doesn't?
Yeah.
It's a
you'd be like,
recall.
yeah, you practically get rear-ended if you don't.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
you will.
yeah, like there's no one at the there's like literally no one at the intersection, and you squeeze to a halt. What kind of weirdo is that? So but then technically that's against the law. So NHTSA got all up in arms about it and said, oh, you have to come to a full zero halt, and then like because of some rule about like the speed, like you're allowed, you can never show the speed below what it really is, and so you have to err on the side of it being slightly above what it really is. Like so, sometimes it would show 1 mile an hour even for briefly, even though the wheel was stopped, because of NHTSA rules about speed. And then somebody sent in a complaint. So then we had to literally show a picture of the wheel, a video of the wheel, while showing. See, it says 1 mile an hour, but that's because of your rules that make us round up to 1 mile an hour. But the wheel is not moving.
Oh my God.
Literally, so send them the video to prove that the car wheel is not moving, even though it says 1 mph, and that it says 1 mph because of their rules. So.
Wow.
We're getting a lot of sort of complaints and FUD and whatnot from competitors about Autopilot because they have no answer to it.
Mm.
So, and they're not like thrilled about the idea of like licensing it from Tesla. That's not like, oh yeah, let's give our competitor a ton of money.
Yeah.
It's not their number one objective.
Because the value is just ridiculous.
Yes.
The value of a fully self-driving car is like we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think everyone undervalues self-driving? It seems like the world doesn't really understand the value of it. Why is that?
Well, it's sort of like, I think if someone has never seen a unicorn or something, they're like,
Hasn't happened
they're
yet.
like, unicorns don't exist. It's just a horse with a horn on its head.
No big deal.
It's a magical creature. That's what basically self-driving sounds like. Some magical fiction thing to most people, until you actually use it, and then it blows your mind.
Yeah.
So now it wouldn't be that hard to use it. They could just like talk to someone who's in the beta program and sit in the car, right out.
Car sharing.
Yeah, seriously. It wouldn't be that hard to figure it out, but they're not trying.
Yeah.
And so like they're all just thinking that no, self-driving is very far away. / they have invested in some solution that will solve it, which we want. No one is pursuing a pure vision AI approach to this, which also requires like a massive amount of labeling, like custom auto labeling software, a massive array of training computers. It's not just the in-car software; it's all of the training and labeling and debugging software that we all wrote. We wrote all that too, like it didn't exist.
Got it.
The sheer amount of software that Tesla's written, just in software tools and debugging, is insane. And like being able taking the frames of video and like analyzing the frames of video and seeing, this is where it got the error, and this is why. Then the auto labeling software needs to be corrected, and there's like auto labeling is in and of itself a massive thing.
Yeah.
Because
it's huge. Yeah.
And we have like I think 1,500 human labelers.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, but they're amplified probably by a factor of 1,000 by the auto labeling.
Okay.
At least a factor of 100.
Wow.
So it's more like having 150,000 labels.
Right. Exactly.
It's a lot.
Yeah. It's huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
And the speed of the auto labeling means that, like the rate at which you can auto label, and then so when you auto label an entire video segment, that's like thousands of frames that get auto labeled, and then all the human has to do is like say, oh yes, that's correct, or nope, tweak that line slightly over. That's it. And then it corrects the auto labeler, and you feed that back into the auto labeling. Basically, you train the auto labeler to auto label, and then you have fewer and fewer errors over time.
Yeah.
And you trust that human was correct?
No, we don't. There's a lot of training examples, and you just trust that the error is
statistically.
Yes, that it's rare for the error to occur. But a number of the improvements have been us going through the auto labeling software and saying like, why is the probability of this thing not much higher than we think it should be? And there are a number of cases it's been because of a very serious mislabeling error. So then what the neural net will think is that the vast majority of the time the line is over there, but every now and again it's over here. And it's like, no, it's still over here. That was just a labeling error. So it actually tries to compensate for it's statistics. So it's like, oh, there's an old distribution, and oh, there's a little hump over here. No, there's not a little hump over here. That's just mislabeling. delete. Oh, now everything's on. Now it works. So some of these like a significant mislabeling error, it can have quite a significant reduction in the effectiveness of the neural net.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing, so I was at Target literally yesterday, I was walking through the parking lot, and this old lady was backing up, of course wasn't looking out at all for me, and she almost hit me. And what I was going to say is that a lot of the people that are going to be saved from full self-driving won't know it, right? Whether it's my Tesla trying to dodge
already
them.
true. Already
we were at Best Buy. We were going to Best Buy today.
Already way truer than people realize. By far.
A car
Bang that drum, Elon.
Yeah. Totally.
So it's crazy.
But no one will, unsung.
I mean, when we started down the Autopilot path, I was actually somebody said like, oh yeah, well, there's like, somebody had said like, well, you're not going to get no praise for the whatever 90% of people you save, and you're going to be sued by the 10% of people you don't. So this is a thankless task. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, but at the end of the day, I think we just have to put this before a jury and say, listen, you got to believe statistics here, because it's like if this is like, I think highway safety is like an order of magnitude safer than people, and it's like these are not small numbers here. You just say objectively how many crashes were there. Oh, it's 10 times fewer. Okay, so like then the company that massively reduces deaths and accidents should not be penalized for the few that do occur. That's like, that would be super messed up.
Until full autonomy safety it's going to happen.
Statistically, I mean, even with full autonomy, there's still going to be a non-zero number of things, because a rock
will fall. And...
Well, like you're still interacting with, like it's going to take a long time before the fleet is autonomous. So like when the fleet is autonomous, let's say at that point, the problem like accidents will be insanely rare, like 100 times less or more than what they are right now.
Yep.
Like you just have to literally leap into traffic with no chance of the car avoiding you. Like it would have to be like practically a suicide, So when all the cars are autonomous, but for a long time there will be autonomous cars mixed in with 99-point-something% non-autonomous cars, and then that means people will do, will swerve across traffic. Like, so you go down a road and somebody, with a high-speed non-divided road, and a truck just drives into you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, like what are you supposed to do?
Can't avoid that.
But I mean, I think people also don't realize like just how many people are dying out there from, basically drivers falling asleep or whatever. I mean, JD's wife was killed by a truck driver that fell asleep.
I forgot about that. She was on a bike.
Bicycle, right?
She was on a bike.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a
God,
truck driver fell asleep.
Yeah.
The truck veered across the road and ran her over and killed her.
Yeah.
I read it.
Yeah, and if that truck had Autopilot, it would have stayed in lane, and it would not, and should be alive today.
Wow, the irony of that.
Yeah. So, anyway, like either way, we're just gonna keep doing it. it's you know,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yes.
got to do it. It just take the heat.
I don't.
Well,
Go ahead.
one last thing. It won't take as much alpha waves or mind share, but a lot of people, a lot of fans and owners want to know about Apple Music.
You've been avoiding my question on that, so I stopped asking.
And what are we looking for here?
What is Apple?
Just another music.
Waypoints for the longest time.
Waypoints.
I have
Thank
Apple
you for
Music and I hate
waypoints.
it.
Thank you for waypoints. That
Oh,
was
thank you.
life-changing.
Thank you for
Yes,
watching.
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Yeah, it could definitely be better.
Come on, man. It just takes
Seriously. We're gonna fucking
I hated these. I'm sorry.
Come on,
No,
man.
it
Come on, man.
It should. I mean, it
Waypoints.
should just like sync with your calendar, and you shouldn't have to type anything.
Yeah.
Cloud profiles.
I'd have to use my calendar for that to work.
For a while, we had the calendar sync working pretty well.
I don't.
Oh,
I just don't. I just don't. I'm joking.
He doesn't
I don't
use
even
the
use my
calendar.
calendar. It's a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's a hit and miss, but
Yeah, like for a while there, we had it working well. I think I haven't used it in a while, so
Uh-huh.
but it should basically just automatically take you where you want to go without you
Yeah.
having to say anything,
yeah,
and just look at your calendar and
yeah.
Yeah.
go based on that,
Yeah.
essentially.
So Spotify, Tidal, amazing. Thank you.
Oh my god, the sound
but-
quality in the new Model S when you actually connect it to Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did that right before the Cyber Rodeo. We were in a parking garage with Wi-Fi, and oh my god,
Yeah,
really unlocked
That's
the
great.
audio.
Yeah, Tidal's great. Love it. Yeah, but a lot of fans don't have Tidal, but they do have Apple Music, so they've just been asking. So
yeah.
Low on your
is this-
priority
is
list.
it- Like, are you talking about like the Apple's like car implementation? Or
No,
something?
no.
I don't-
Car
No,
quality.
say-
literally. So Spotify has a subscription that you can pay to like subscribe to it.
Yeah.
Apple has a Apple Music that you can subscribe
Oh, you mean just
to.
not through the phone, basically?
Yes.
correct.
To the car. Yeah.
Through the car.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So you want to
So just to avoid Bluetooth.
yeah,
correct.
exactly. Because then it's still manual.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
There's a fair amount of customers who use Apple Music.
Okay.
Versus Spotify. That's all.
It's true.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I use Apple. I actually am one of the rare people who I use Apple Music and Spotify, but I just use Spotify through Bluetooth. I mean, so I just use Apple Music through Bluetooth.
Oh, you do?
So if I play Apple Music, I just Bluetooth it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's.
doesn't bother you?
Sound quality.
I mean, the sound quality. It's like we can definitely improve the Bluetooth data rate if that's the bottleneck we're talking about.
I mean, that would make everyone happy, but not
Okay.
just the Apple Music lovers.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
They
Which
already
is
have
for
great sound
everybody.
systems.
But
I use Spotify, but I still do it through my phone because like that's just how I do my
Oh, you
music.
do?
In my house, I do it through my phones. When I have my Sonos at
Okay.
home, so I get in the car and it goes through.
Oh,
yeah, increased bandwidth.
Let me see if
That might
just-
solve
Just
everyone's
crank up the.
problem,
From 16 to 32, make it happen.
You don't ever have any latency.
No, I'm just sorry. I'm just still in awe of like just
Still
this
a
whole
pinch
experience.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. You caught me one of those blank moments.
We already have waypoints, so I have no feature to request.
Car sharing.
Oh, I have one. I have
Just
one.
Sylvia note too.
I want to. I
want
want
to.
to. I want to go
increase
up on a
the.
Starship one day, but who doesn't?
I have one. So, all right, I'm a peasant now with Legacy I have a Legacy P100D. So the blind spot camera, when you right click or when you use the blinker, it doesn't show up. So when you
side
reverse
repeater
though,
camera doesn't.
you know the repeater cameras, they would show up. They show up in you know all the new ones.
Anyways,
But I'm on the Legacy X. It's 2018 December.
It shows up when
production.
you put the car in reverse. not
Yes,
when
so
you use
it's
the-
already there. It's just it.
You talking about the feature on the 3 when you hit the blinker on, it'll show.
Yes,
up. Yeah,
exactly.
I know. I love that. I
Well,
got a rental and it
that-
got me.
I mean, Elon, you responded to me to do it, and then it just didn't get on my car. So it sucked.
Okay.
It seems like a small number of people, but a valuable feature to
like
that
that's why
number.
I said I'm a peasant, but I'm not gonna. It's fine.
Buy a
Well,
new Tesla.
I mean, I'm not saying like our resource allocation is perfect because it certainly isn't. But I mean, one just needs to stack rank the issues by like how much good will this do times number of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of long list of things. And pretty far down the list is like adding features to legacy products. 'Cause it just,
That's why I said I'm a peasant.
Yeah.
A different way of saying that is upgrade.
Oh come on! I got free lifetime supercharger, man.
It's just like it doesn't make sense
Yeah.
for future people to
That makes sense.
like if there was like some factory that just produced great software engineers, like you just order I would need 100 great software engineers, then no problem. But there isn't.
Yeah.
Like there's a very small number of great software engineers.
Yeah, makes sense.
And a bunch of the ones that I know who are great got rich and stopped working.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you probably know a few of those.
God damn it.
Yeah, I
That's why you're trying to bring the price down. No, stop leaving.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of very capable people, and once they got rich, they just stopped working.
Sure.
It's like it's their life, but they stopped coding, and they just I don't know what they do actually. Like a bunch of them say they invest and stuff, but there's I mean like there's a lot of really capable people who are semi-retired that I know. So I'm just like the weirdo who's like I still working like a maniac because I'm just wired that way. So, but most people I know, when they get past a certain amount of money, their work, the amount of work they do is much less.
Well, and this is the interesting thing for this interview. I've never actually heard you say that, like, basically you're an existentialist. I've not heard you say that directly. I've always thought that. I actually basically was studying it in high school.
Yeah.
Right around the same time I discovered Tesla, and I was inspired, tied to that. And so it's just interesting that, like, I don't see you ever really retiring just because of the fire that is driving you to work right now. And yeah, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like trying to, just trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah, and then just like take the set of actions that are most likely to enable us to figure out what's going on and understand the universe. Which I think
if you're not an alien, I just realized that you're trying to become an alien. You're trying to pursue and find other life potentially. You're trying
He's
to,
an
yes, we're trying to be the aliens.
Yeah.
Trying to be the aliens, right?
Yeah,
He's
you
an
want to
He's
be
an
the
alien. What are you
alien.
talking about?
Aliens the entire
Yeah.
time.
I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah. Astronauts are kind of just aliens.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, the Fermi paradox is a profoundly important question. And there's a book that's like, 50 answers to the Fermi paradox or something. Every now and again, they put out a new one when they can think of some other answers to the Fermi paradox. It's quite good. Because it's very troubling that we do not see signs of aliens. Very, very troubling. Like something doesn't add up. Why is the universe 13.8 billion years old, and we see no evidence of any alien visitation whatsoever, nor can we detect any signals or anything like that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
The only thing I can think is just time bound. We are the last one that's currently alive, and there may be future ones that become alive, or at least can be perceived as alive in the future.
Yeah.
Well, if you say like the universe is like say 13.8, go like basically 13,800 and something million years old.
It's when you talk about that
Like,
instant.
well, if you even want to increment the third digit past decimal point, that would be 1 million years in the future, and our civilization, as measured since the start of writing, is 5,000 years old. So.
And given current birth rates too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I think.
So do you think we're alone?
It's like a million years would be 200 times the length of civilization.
Yeah.
What was that one?
Yeah. So do you think we're alone?
I'm simply stating I think we should adhere to the scientific method, which is that we have no evidence.
No evidence. Yeah.
Like,
This suggests we
nothing.
aren't.
Yeah.
Just nothing. There is nothing that we have no evidence of aliens life whatsoever. Nothing. Flat damn nothing.
Yeah.
No signals. No. Like all it would have taken would be for like an alien civilization to put like a 1-inch cube of pure titanium, like just a titanium cube. I'd be like, fucking aliens, man. Okay, because they sure as hell didn't know how to refine, deoxidize, and create like a cube of pure titanium.
But what if that?
Or pure anything, pure nickel. How about that?
Wait, so in my mind, alien life will, if and when we find, especially the first one, will be more like a bacteria. We probably won't find, human-like, able to modify the world around them. I think we'll find bacteria.
Yes, I think there's likely, like if you look at Earth was just basically archaic bacteria for a very long time, and it was a huge thing to have mitochondria get incorporated into a cell, and then have that mitochondria also divide when the cell divides. That was so gigantic, and you just can't have a complex organism really of any size unless you've got a little power plant with the mitochondria in your cell.
Yeah.
So, but the mitochondria like basically seems to have been like some bacteria, archaic bacteria that got captured and then essentially went into symbiosis with the thing. But then the crazy thing is like, how does it replicate itself when the cell divides? The mitochondria must divide at the same time.
How do the mitochondria absorb that?
So there must have been like a crazy number of times where mitochondria was absorbed, but did not replicate itself when the cell did.
I think that's why I think we'll find bacteria, but I guess the follow-up question is, how would we even perceive that if it's further than our solar system? How do we perceive bacteria as life if it was outside our solar system? Because that's what gives me hope. That it's just so small or different that we just haven't yet been able to look far enough.
Yeah. Well, and I think generally we're looking for like life we can talk to, type of thing.
Does it matter if it's life versus life we can talk to?
Yeah, I mean, if we find a planet of trilobites, like, okay.
That's still incredible.
It's
You're
not
not blown
incredible.
away by that?
It's cool. Can't talk to them. Simple shell creatures.
Sorry for
It's incredible.
And they're probably different, maybe
But that gives me hope for even more.
simple shell creatures. Be like, okay, we found a wide range of different simple shell creatures. Then I think like that seems quite likely, frankly.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I say like probabilities, from a probability standpoint, I think that's likely.
Yeah.
It's like how many civilizations that can actually, you can actually talk to that are around at the same time as we are around. Those appears to be a vanishingly small number, maybe zero, that are in this galaxy. And we don't really know of a way to get to other galaxies with current physics.
Would you say, given potentially all the unknowns, what is your thoughts on there being like a creator?
In general, I'm just saying if you're gonna aim for an evidence-based approach to existence, then you simply say, what is the evidence? And your conclusion should be probabilistic according to the evidence. So there's clearly some, like we don't know what the origins of the universe are. We don't know if is this a simulation or are we somebody's video game? I mean, if you look at the progress of video games, going from simple blocks with Pong to 3D, massively multiplayer, photorealistic video games in our lifetime, if that trend continues, video games will be indistinguishable from reality. So, I'm not saying we are video games, I'm simply saying that this is a remarkable situation we've witnessed.
You can still be at a single turn of civilization.
Yeah, I mean that's the wild thing, right? Is there's the history of it, finding the.
I mean, something caused the universe to come into being. There's like some uncaused cause, or like there's some originate. It's like it came from somewhere. It's a whole separate question. As like is there some invisible creature or invisible deity judging our actions and deciding whether we're going to go to a good place or a bad place when we die? That doesn't seem to be the case. Or at least it's not clear what the rules are for, because then there'd be a lot of mass murderers and stuff that should have been, I don't know, not end up in a good place. So I don't know. It's hard to say. People get very defensive about religion because it's like, they'll sort of identify themselves by a particular religion.
I'll put out there, if you kind of drive yourself by existentialism, it's like replacing that for them.
Yeah.
It's replacing their purpose for being.
Well, it's certainly, it would be a change to say, like, let's pursue an expansion of consciousness in order to understand the nature of reality. Whereas if you say, no, I do understand the nature of reality because I believe in this religion or that religion, and that is my explanation for reality, which is how a lot of people would view things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I mean, it's one doesn't want to get into a religious debate. It's just going to be a different path that people follow if they, take religion at face value versus take the position that we don't know what's going on and we want to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a different set of actions.
And I guess what I'm saying is, like, religion lets people believe that they know what's going on already.
Yeah. I don't really have any issue with religion, provided that we just generally go in a direction that furthers consciousness.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, if a religion results in more people being created, and the atheists not having kids, then, well, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Fate loves irony.
Yeah.
And that's
The only people around will be religious people.
pretty.
So, all right.
Okay.
You get a picture real quick?
Sure.